Ruth Dyson is this country's first Minister of Disability Issues, a role she's held for 9 years, and she'll be hoping to hang on to her job when voters go to the polls. Her team juggles disability issues with 4 other portfolios. Every day there's a new, equally full schedule. 7:30 a.m, backbench caucus, 8 o'clock Cabinet Committee, 9 o'clock meet Junior Whip, 9:30 staff time, 10 o'clock meet DIA and C&V, 10:30 desk time, 11:30 meet Grant Sharman. Meet Grant Sharman, that's me. With that kind of workload, her staff are flat out.
I only know the disability portfolio, so that's the schedule that I know about, and I just look at that part of her diary where I'm not interested in what she's doing for social development and community and voluntary sector and all the other things.
I probably never have enough hours in my day to do all the things that I want to do, so I prioritise really well, and they're also quite connected, so that's a help as well.
Ruth's got boundless energy, and she thrives in it, she loves it. She gets mischievous if she hasn't got anything to do.
11 a.m, time to get going to Government House. The Minister's been called upon to officially receive a prestigious United Nations Disability Award on behalf of the government.
Excellent, I'll be 1 minute.
She's certain the development of the government's disability strategy was the key factor in our country winning the Franklin Delano Roosevelt Award.
For the first time ever, there was one country nominated and agreed by every single person on the committee in the first round. That's never happened before in the history of this award. This is huge.
Being on the go like this means the Minister has to plan ahead.
I pretty well know my diary in advance for the next 3 or so months, so I know what's coming up, and I have everything framed in my head about what I'm doing. So there's no events that I'll go to and I think, what's this about? Oh, we wait for the Governor-General now. Yeah. So this is rest time, this is downtime. I could lie on the floor and have a power nap. Hi, Susan. Hi, Nan. Welcome back. Welcome back. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Hi, Nan.
Very nice to
I
see
have
you.
had a number of very, very positive comments about you using sign language. It's really great.
Well, that's been something that you counselled me to do when I first started, and it fits in.
How important is it that sign language is adopted by the wider community?
I was reflecting on the progress of sign language compared to the progress of Māori language in New Zealand. It's only about 30 years ago that a toll operator was sacked for saying kia ora. Can you imagine that happening now? It's gobsmacking, really, to think of the progress we've made in recognition and valuing of Māori language. I think we're going to be a lot faster in terms of sign language.
But what about the problem of getting more sign language tutors? How are you tackling that?
We knew that we were short of interpreters, but we knew we'd never get people who wanted to be interpreters till we could offer job security. If we can make the courses more accessible, make the jobs more secure, increase the demand and the supply, then we'll see the perfect solution, but it has to be an evolution.
What about your own sign language skills?
Pretty minimal, actually, and to my shame, they've really lessened over the last few years because I've got 5 portfolios, as you mentioned, and I haven't put enough time into New Zealand Sign Language. I want to.
New Zealand received the award for its achievements to date, but for the event to have long-standing meaning, that work must continue.
Gary Williams, Chief Executive of DPA. It's my pleasure now to welcome you and invite you to speak. Thank you.
It was great to see Gary Williams so involved today. The nothing about us without us philosophy, how well is that getting out there?
We have certainly led the way in terms of how government operates and how we expect our departments to operate, but we are not an inclusive society in terms of the way we involve disabled people in our general activities. We've made huge progress, but I'm not sitting back and saying we've done this task by any means. We still have too many disabled people out of work. We still have too many disabled people who are in paid work but not using the skills they have. We have too few disabled people accessing tertiary education. So we've still got a lot of areas in which we can make practical progress.
The disability strategy, does it lack teeth?
I don't think it lacks teeth. It's got a really strong momentum actually built in as part of its process. The disability strategy requires every government department to prepare an annual plan. What are they going to do to further implement the strategy? And each year to report back on the previous year's plan. So it sort of has a drive. It can't just be put on a shelf and ignored.
It's well past lunchtime, but no break for the Minister.
Do you want to get Hannah in London to come in? Okay, she'll be in.
The Minister's facing 3 questions in the House this afternoon. This team is preparing her with a barrage of information she'll need if challenged by the opposition.
She's got 3 questions, so her last question is the last one, so the House time might go on for quite a long time.
And that's a question right at the end of question time on the Families Commission.
Does she get defensive when issues she's worked hard on get knocked?
Well, I think it's probably natural for me to go, oh, well, we haven't finished the job, but could you give us a little bit of credit? But in the end, people are entitled to say how they feel, and that's part of a democracy that we should value. I'm not in my job to get praise. I'm in my job to get things done. And if people have got a list of more things to do, that's good. That means I've got a job for, a longer term.
2 o'clock, better check the schedule. The bells ring throughout the beehive. I'm out of here. Calling the politicians to the debating chamber.
The House comes to questions for oral answer.
The first question's dead easy. Clearly one from her own side.
What reports has she received that recognise progress made in advancing the participation of disabled people across New Zealand society?
Madam Speaker.
The Honourable Ruth Dyson.
Madam Speaker, earlier today I was honoured to receive the prestigious Franklin Delano Roosevelt International Disability Award.
Ruth Dyson is especially proud of 2 pieces of legislation she's pushed.
The Sign Language Act was really important for me because recognition of a New Zealand-born person's culture is huge. The Shelter Workshops legislation was a basic issue of human rights for me. So that was important as well. But
has it been detrimental for those people who haven't been going to work to earn money but have been going for other reasons?
For 2,000 people in shelter workshops, the law change had no relevance at all. And they're carrying on doing what they're doing, or doing better, because we changed the environment of thinking with vocational services providers, but not because of a law change. For the other 1,000 people, if you walked into their shelter workshop and looked at what they're doing, you say, that's a job. They're working. The law would define it as work. Those people are now required to either be paid the minimum wage for their work or to have an individual assessment for a minimum wage exemption. I think that's about as fair as you can get, actually.
The issue of individualised funding, what progress has been made on that?
I'd like to see individualised funding as a choice rather than the only way that the person can get satisfaction with their support package. So that's always been my hesitation about rushing into individualised funding as the answer, because it lets the agencies off the hook of delivering high quality services in the way that best meets the person's needs.
There have been a few horror stories with agencies. What are some of the steps for accountability?
The staff are better trained than they used to be, and the caregivers qualification that we introduced has been a major step forward in recognising the need for training of caregivers. Most of the agencies are taking on board the need to not only have people trained in the certificate, in the caregiver qualification, but also to recognise that qualification with better money.
At last, a coffee break, sort of. The Minister has awards to present.
Congratulations, it was just fantastic.
We're still running to time. It's nearly 4:30 and we've still got one meeting at 4:30, another one at 5, and then heading off to the airport for a later flight, going back to Christchurch for more meetings tomorrow in Christchurch all day.
I'm not a super person, I just get tired sometimes, like everyone does. I try and have some really clear time where I'm not squashing a wee rest in between other things. So quality time for myself and Martin is really important for me. Well, can I just acknowledge again the trust, and thank you, Paul.
Thank you very much for your support over the years. It's been great, and
if you are looking for a new job, I'm sure we can find a vacancy on our trust board.
No, I'm actually reapplying for my existing job.